Hey, hey, hey. Whoa, whoa. Hey, hey. I'm winning regardless. I'm that nigga, I promise.
Welcome to the Dreams by Any Means podcast. I am your host, Ed Doxson. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning in to today's show, which is episode 2, Move Around. Today I have a very special guest, a good friend of mine, Mr. Montae Mitchell, better known as Mitch.
Hey, appreciate you for having me, man.
Already,
I'm
bro.
excited for this one.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited for this.
So, you know, this is the second episode, and pretty much this platform, what I'm using is to pretty much highlight people in my life that really represent what it means to chase their dreams by any means.
For sure.
So, you know, I think you have a story that many people can relate to, that many people can be inspired by, and we can just get right into it. Well,
Yeah.
you can tell people your story, you know, where you're from, what you got going on, and things like that.
Okay. Yeah, so originally from Norfolk, Virginia. Well, I was born in Norfolk, Virginia. I spent, it's kind of crazy knowing you from DC, knowing you through our good friend,
Yeah.
Kenny B. I actually spent a lot of time in Maryland in my early childhood. It was maybe 4 or 5 years in Maryland. Moved back to Virginia, South Norfolk area, Chesapeake area. And then I spent my middle school, grade school in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And through Virginia Beach, went to high school, played sports, then went on to college, Hampton, Virginia, and just recently, 2015, decided to, change my scene,
Right.
my scenery, to Miami, Florida, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm rocking right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
Beautiful place, you know.
Yeah.
So talk about that, going from Virginia Beach to where we're at right now, North
Right.
Miami Beach. That's a way different.
Different level.
It's a different beach, different
for
sand,
sure, for
different
sure,
everything.
for
So
sure.
tell the people a little bit about how was that transition coming from a small town, Virginia Beach, to Miami, but also talk about some of the lessons that you learned in Virginia Beach that you carry with you here today in Miami
Gotcha.
Beach.
So as far as the transition, I feel like I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And like I say this, when I was finishing my undergrad at Hampton, and you know how you had those credits that you have to do, internship, you
Yeah.
have to do 400 hours or something,
Right.
accreditation. And I was just at that point when I was even told that that's something I had to do to finish out my undergrad. I was like, well, I gotta go somewhere. I gotta make it worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at LA, Cali.
Okay.
I'm looking at New York. I'm looking at Miami.
cities.
I'm looking at Texas.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just looking for a large sports market. My undergrad was sport management. I had a minor in business management, and then my major was sport management.
Okay.
And I'm looking at these larger cities so that I can basically tap into their sports markets. And I was just like, whatever's the first opportunity I'm gonna take. I think when I started looking at them, I started applying for little stuff. I got a phone call the next day from it was a high school or something in LA.
Yeah.
And they wanted I guess something to do with their sports program in the high school.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? It just ain't sound like it was me at that second.
Mm-hmm.
But literally maybe 2 hours later, I got a phone call from a situation in Miami. And I was just the way that it was presented. It goes to show at this point in life, I understand how important that is the presentation on something.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it was presented to me, I basically was like, I'm ready to catch that flight to come see you and check you out. You know what I'm saying? So basically, long story short, I took that opportunity and transitioned myself. So the transition was I was expecting more, no matter what. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Understanding where I was coming from, what I was doing. I had always had this open mind, and I had always knew that there was more. My mother, she's originally from New York. My father from Jamaica.
Yeah.
So they met. My whole family pretty much was raised up in New York, Brooklyn, New York. So we always traveled back and forth. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I always understood where I was living and what was out there. So
Okay.
I always understood, you know what I mean? And then having that stint in Maryland, my father, I believe, had a space in DC at the time. So I always seen a lot more.
Right.
I understood there was more.
Right.
So the transition was what I was expecting and what I wanted and what I was looking for. As far as growing up in Virginia, it's definitely something that's gonna stick with me for my life.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying? Life lessons learned.
Yeah.
in Virginia. Originally, like I said, originally born in Norfolk, Virginia, which is a totally different scene from where I grew up in grade school. I was raised in grade school.
Okay.
But you know what I'm saying? My family, they pretty much always, coming from what they were doing, you know what I mean? And my father and my mother, coming from their lives and how they grew up, they always knew what they wanted for us. So
Right.
I always know that I keep that in mind, that I know that they wanted a certain life for us, you know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right,
They did
right.
anything they could to either keep us out of the hood, keep us out of, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like those troubled environments. You know what I'm saying? At times, like, we living in, you know what I'm saying, like, all of my family, all my aunts, all my grandparents, and my mother, you know what I'm saying, all of us and all the kids in one crib, just so
okay.
we can be in, you know what I'm saying, on the outskirts and not,
Yeah.
like, inside of a inner, you know what I'm saying, inner public housing or some shit like that.
Right.
But, you know what I'm saying, it's just kind of natural genes. Like, my father was a big dog, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? My father was a hustler.
Yeah.
My mother, she, you know what I'm saying, she got her stripes and whatever she was doing. So like, that's just in our genes,
Yeah.
and naturally in our blood. So I was able to, you know what I'm saying, I had that in me to be able to tap into avenues that, you know what I'm saying, it might not have been the best interest for my life, but it made me and shaped me into the person that I was in today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So my experience and lesson learned in Virginia, it goes, you know what I'm saying, it goes deep, and I learned a lot through life by basically being in certain environments that I was in.
Right.
Through that.
Right. Yeah, and I think something you mentioned, I hear you talk a lot about family, family structure, being inspired by your parents.
Yeah.
Something that I think, a lot of black males specifically growing up is that they're not exposed at a young age to what's more out there.
Right.
So, you moving away from Virginia Beach and kind of being down here in Miami Beach, coming alone, talk about, what does family mean to you, and how you dealing with, how do you deal with being away from family but still hustling, still getting it and making family proud? Because a lot of people usually just don't go away from home because they may not want to leave home. It's their comfort zone. They may get homesick, the whole 9 yards. But talk about how your family plays a role in like your grind.
Yeah. So growing up all my life, kind of like how I just touched in, like being surrounded by my family, having that support system by my family, it always pushed me out a little bit more. It always made me, you know what I'm saying, let me go outside, let me hop off the porch. I want to meet other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a lot of family over me all the time. Let me get outside. So like at a young age, I was able to get outside or go with my older brother, you know what I'm saying, and actually see what's out there and not just be confined in home. So I guess that kind of led me to a point where I was like, I need to get out. I need to get out of home, and it pushed me away from family a lot. I say like from 18 years old on, I haven't lived with my family. I haven't lived with my mother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
From the moment I graduated high school, I've always been outside of my mother's home, and I want to say like moving down here was not strategically placed, but it was something that I put in my mind. Like, I need to get out. I need to create my own family. To, you know what I'm saying, to set a foundation and obviously connect my family back in full circle.
Right.
And it wasn't until this past year that I understood how important it is to connect that family at all times, no matter what. No matter what you're feeling, if you pushed out or you want to do your own thing. My sister passed away in August 2020. Yeah. And September 2020. Yeah. She had a car accident in August, and for me, dog, like that literally changed my whole perspective on the meaning of family and what's important to, like what really matters in life. You know what I'm saying? And you always say, you wanna continue to strive and be successful to put your family in place. You wanna continue to do all of these things for a legacy so that your kids can have, generational wealth and all these things. We talk about it briefly, and it's cliche. Yeah. But it wasn't until those moments with me understanding, like, I can't get on that phone, you know what I'm saying? And I've had people around me before pass away, but, like, it wasn't until that moment that I understood, like, what this means and what it's going to do and the domino effect and how it's affecting my family. Still to this day right now. how much family means. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I have a whole different outlook on family and how I want my family fellowship to be on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? And but family mean the world to me, and it's hard right now for sure being away. You know what I'm saying? Like strive and continue to wake up every day. You got a goal, you got a process, you got a business you created. That you gotta keep up. But at the same time, you got focuses. You know what I mean? You got focus on what really matters in life. You know what I'm saying? Family gonna always be there for you, no matter what. Certain things are replaceable. You know what I'm saying? Stuff, material, we don't even gotta get into that. Like, you know what I mean? Materials, obviously we understand what that means. So like, as much success as something could bring you, family is it overpowers that. The love, you'll never be able to have that love, be able to match. You know what I'm saying? Unless those are all in accord for me personally. So that's how like my morals and how it's aligned for me and how I set myself up in that aspect.
Yeah, and I know that's part of the sacrifice, you know, when you're hustling. It's like you got to be away from the family, you're busy, you're doing those things. But, you know, it kind of goes into the next question of talking about your business. You know, when I think about move around, I think hearing your story now, it's easy to relate that. You know, I think move around has been your thing. Your parents put it in you. You know, you moved from Norfolk to Virginia Beach. So your father was a hustler. Your father's from Jamaica and mom is from New York. So at that young age, you already been moving around. So tell the people more about, you know, move around. Like, what is the company? What does it represent? How things are going?
So move around. It's super funny. When I first moved down to Miami, I had an opportunity for an internship, and like I told you, like when I heard on it, how Buddy to this day, I want to say his name is, I don't want to get the wrong name. I really can't remember his name, but it was the first opportunity I got. And he called me, and basically we set up a meeting for me to fly down to Miami. Let me tell you how like on point his presentation game is. He rented out a suite across from AAA.
Oh man.
To have this interview with me. You know what I'm saying? So that I can he can attract me to what he had going on. It was a startup business. And at the time, how he presented it and how the setup was, it didn't seem like that. I didn't get the vibe of, you know what I mean, of the reality of what was going on. And I was just, to be honest, I'm not even front. I was so, when I got off the plane and I was in the taxi car, I didn't even use Uber back then. I had a taxi from the airport to AAA, across from AAA, and I was
like Will Smith.
Like I was sold already. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't really even have to say much. But then when I walked into the suite that he had rented out and everything was decked out how it was like, this is it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I already knew I was there. So I say that to say that his presentation was so on point that like it took over basically the whole situation. But moving forward, so that was my first opportunity. But when I came down here, I quickly understood and quickly realized this ain't gonna be for me. You know what I'm saying? Startup. I understand what he, you know what I mean, what he needs, and I had an opportunity that I could have probably reached to be an be an investor in the situation or whatever. You know what I mean? Because it was startup, but that's not for me, and that wasn't my plan, that wasn't my vision. So anyway, long story short, I basically started looking elsewhere to see what I could do because I still needed this internship. I got in contact with FIU. FIU actually brought me in for an interview. They had a paid internship, so it was even better than the situation that I had just done or set up, which was just going to be an internship, me working for free, setting up this dude's business. You know what I'm saying? And they brought me on, FIU brought me on, did like a couple of months in, and they fell in love, I fell in love, and they hired me full time. With that, when you work at a university, you get that tuition waiver set up. So basically you can continue school, you can do what you need to do, while they'll pay for you to do that. So basically I'm working full time with FIU now, a couple of months in at FIU. I go back home to graduate from Hampton, come back, because I have this job now set up. So now, like, I'm like, all right, everything is getting moved down. You know what I mean? I got my situation set up. Basically, it was one class. I think it was urban development, something. It was one class in graduate school, basically, that there was no assignments, there was no quizzes, there was no tests. There was one project, and basically you had to set up a master plan for basically setting up a master plan to develop not necessarily a business, but develop a impact a specific area with what you want to do.
Okay.
And he like the way that he basically gave us the tools and stuff that he gave us, I basically was able to kind of create this master plan around, the tools and stuff that he set up and told us we should, suggested that we look into and look for, and set up this master plan around basically what we're doing right now with Move Around.
Right.
And it's crazy. I got a 50 PowerPoint slide presentation master plan on this. I think I showed Gordo this before. It's crazy. So basically what we do, we have we're a management firm.
Okay.
And we basically have 3 separate industries that we are putting focus on in the world of impact today.
Okay.
Right now, which is what we've been promoting our heaviest, and what we kind of got a leg up in groundwork is leisure service. So leisure is literally just anything that you decide to do in your free time. The simplest way to say it, right? So obviously Miami, the location that we at, location is everything. The location that we at is high world populated tourist area.
Yeah.
So it speaks for itself as far as what Miami attracts and what it has to offer towards what we're doing.
Right.
And basically what we're stepping in to do is being a local foundation in the community. We're stepping in that placeholder and not necessarily travel agent and not necessarily your tour guide or concierge. We're literally just using the resources that we built around us to basically offer leisure services to any client or any prospective client, friend, relative, anyone within the network that grows through your network, to be able to assist you and aid either your trip or just your leisure time. It could be a local client or a local anyone that has time off and doesn't have access to a specific realm.
Yeah.
And by that I mean yacht charters, I mean jet ski rentals, I mean private chef, catering, corporate events,
all
spa service,
vibes.
treatment, right? So all vibes, literally in all different locations, all different facilities within South Florida.
Okay.
And what we really do and what we strategically try to do is partner with the local, I don't want to say like not as what do you call it when something is highly promoted or highly sought after, but basically what we know are staples and what we know are people that are looking for ways to bring volume into their business. We basically target those areas. Obviously, if we see value in their business and we see value in their facility or however, we target them and we come with a plan to basically be able to partner with them to drive business for them, but also help us be able to offer as much as we can and have access to as much as we can.
Right.
So that's the leisure service realm of it, and that's what we're literally doing when it comes to Move Around management, leisure service package is what we're offering. Right. As far as recreation, I have a large background in sport management, and my graduate degree was actually recreation and sport management.
Yeah.
Undergrad was sport management with a minor in business. And I played sports all my life.
Yeah.
So I have a huge background in recreation performance and any sports activities, and not even just sport activities, but active, you know what I mean, like social active recreation.
Right.
And what we're doing with that is, I was a director for the city of Pembroke Pines.
Okay.
From a span of 2018, the end of 2018 to 2019, so about 12, 13 months, right?
Okay.
And basically while I was working for the city of Pembroke Pines, I basically was able to implement programs that the city was missing, or the city did not have in place. Adult sports, flag football in a certain area, indoor soccer. It was a number of things that I was able to pick and find and implement, but then develop
Right.
and actually fill the need, fill the gap on what was missing. So with recreation services, what we plan to do with move around management is slip into the same thing without obviously being attached to the city how I was.
Yeah.
And basically become more of a partner than an employee like I was.
Right.
So I just look at it in that realm of what that industry is. And then facility services, my background from FIU, I was assistant director there as the assistant director for facilities and operations.
Yeah.
My background was basically, is largely in that as far as, I don't want to say necessarily just events, but basically maintenance and what you call the words? I mean, maintaining the facilities and how you can develop them to use open space and create opportunity within those spaces.
Right.
So not necessarily architecture, but project management
Right.
as far as, you know what I mean, developing that stuff. And
Right.
I love that, and I got a niche for that. So that's another industry that I'm attaching to move around management.
Okay.
So we have these 3 pillars, is what we
Right.
call them. Leisure service, recreation service, and facility service.
Yeah.
And that's move around management in a whole, and where we continue to develop.
Mm-hmm.
Leisure services right now is area of focus, because that's where we kind of organically started and
Right.
organically came from, and that is going to obviously lead into developing into the next phase, into the next phase, into
Yeah.
the next phase. So it's a process, and I'm just enjoying the process
Enjoying
right
it.
now.
Yeah. Sound like you got it all mapped
Hey,
out, like
let's
the
do
whole
it.
9
You know what I'm
yards.
saying?
Yeah, it takes me to my next question. You know, we both have something in common. We both went to 2 HBCUs,
Yeah.
Delaware State University, Hampton University. Shout out to the HBCUs.
Yes, sir.
And before I even met you, you know, we have a mutual friend, Kenny Brown. Shout out to KB.
KB.
Just watching from afar when y'all linked up, you know, immediately when I saw you, I'm like, you know, this dude, like, he creating the vibe.
Yeah.
You know, y'all was having, it was normal, like, stuff at the house, but you had the pictures, the videos, the, you know, the candid photos. Like, I'm like, man, what they doing down there? You know, so it's like, when I met you, you also had that same energy from, you know, the yacht parties and everything before moving around. So when I think about that and hearing about your past and knowing, you know, the impact in the HBCU culture, what impact do you think, you know, your HBCU has had on your business mindset, your outlook on the real world? Because sometimes, you know, we get a bad rep that, oh, HBCUs don't prepare us for the real world, or HBCUs is just a party school. But you are one of many people that are an example of what an HBCU graduate could be. So talk about what Hampton's done for you.
You know what's crazy? My mother will attest for this. Growing up, man, and I kind of touched base on it a little bit without going into detail.
Yeah.
I was rough around the edges.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? like my family tried to do everything they could for me to put me in position. You know what I'm saying? And I had to see it for myself. I had to see life for myself. So I was jumping off that porch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I was jumping off that porch. So and I was always good in school. I was, you know, I'm a smart dude. So like I was always good in school. I would make sure I maintained those grades so that I can get what I wanted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I can do what I want to do without my mother on my back about grades. The last thing I wanted to do. And I had to keep up for sports.
Yeah.
But basically I say that to say I lost my train of thought for a second. But I say that to say going into college, leaving high school to go into college, I was looking more so to get like kind of not get away from my family or not get away from my mother, but basically I wanted a little freedom. I wanted to, you know what I'm saying, now let me do what I want to do.
Right.
And it wasn't, and I actually wanted to go to Virginia State. I think we were just talking about this before. I actually wanted to go to Virginia State because I just knew it was like party. You know what I'm saying? I knew what was going on, but at the same time, I had a conversation with my father, I believe, and I was doing a lot of other stuff. Like I was managing my friend's music group locally in the area, and I was doing a lot of stuff within Virginia Beach that I wanted to stay closer to. Hampton just happened to be a little closer.
Yeah.
I actually qualified for a certain grant that they had, and it kept me basically, it was able, because Hampton's a private school,
right?
So it was able to allow me to get into the private school with the in-state rate and, you know, and the grant that I had. So we were able to afford it. But I say that to say, basically I was going into college with the mindset more so like not necessarily to once I had those conversations, not necessarily to party anymore or get away like I was originally doing, but more so like, okay, this is a business decision. It's gonna be closer to home. I'm gonna be able to boom, go handle my stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really gonna be focused on the interaction, the college vibe, because I had already tuned that out. I was able to tune that out. And going into Hampton, and I think I had went to pre-college. It was pre-college, and I met basically kind of the groups around
like Summer Bridge.
Summer Bridge
I
program,
did the same
right?
thing.
Look, so Summer Bridge program, I went into them, and I was like, I got there because remember I had this conversation with my father, like, and he told me, you know, kind of like explain to me what I should do and how it worked. And I called my father like, yo, these niggas is corny. I was like, these niggas corny. Like, I'm not really trying. I ain't even trying to be here no more, right? And my father was like, yo, like you gotta understand, like, not saying, you know what I mean? Like I got a lot of homies from Hampton, you know what I mean? And we grew relationships with and we moved forward. But my father was like, you gotta understand, like, corny niggas run the world. It was like, you know, you might think they corny or you might call them corny, but you don't understand, like, it's bigger than that, it's deeper than that. You just not relating to them on a certain level that you need to be relating to. And that conversation at the moment, it didn't stick, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to hear that. I was in and out, back and forth to Virginia Beach and stuff. But he basically put that and installed it into me, and I understood, like, okay, like I'm going into this college understanding, like, I want to say that I basically was on a different mindset than a lot of the people that were going into college at that time. And I'm like all over the place, but basically I went into Hampton with that mindset, and then still understanding what I was coming from and what I had already seen. Like I'm not trying to go into that. Talking about like my 11th grade year, shot in my leg. Like a lot of different things, and that's because I was partying, I was doing all of these things that they just trying to do when they get to college. I had already done that, you know what I'm saying? Like through my life. So I had all these experiences. So going into college, I basically had the mindset, okay, I'm gonna work a full-time job. I'm gonna do everything I need to do, use my network around me, get where I need to go, and then boom, keep it moving, keep it pushing. But I was able to understand that by meeting all of these guys that made it to college, the same as me, with the same skin color as me, got the same credentials as me, that, you know what I'm saying? Like HBCU like this is powerful. Like we got power in the world, and I understood that, and I put myself in that position. But I just had to stay focused. If I didn't keep my mindset that I had, that I can't necessarily attach myself with these people, but I can understand. You know what I'm saying? We can relate to each other whenever we need to, and then boom, keep it moving. And that in that same perspective, because I had my own life and I had my own things going on that I wanted to still be attached to. You know what I'm saying? But I think the HBCU basically helped me understand that. It helped me understand who I was, where I was coming from. You know what I mean? What I'm up against, and what's ahead of me, you know what I'm saying? And I was able to keep it moving from there. But I was all over the place in that answer, but I was trying to connect the dots on it. You know what I'm saying?
And it sounded like, you know, when you mentioned earlier, it sounded like getting shot kind of woke you up, opened your eyes a little bit more.
Hey, crazy. Like something that you never really, like, you see on movies and shit. Like you see on movies and you understand what happens when you playing these games. You know what I'm saying? When you running around. But you never really understand until you sitting down and you in the bed, you on bed rest for 8 months. You know what I'm saying? Because you stuck and you put yourself in a position. And like it was something that basically it helped me at a young age be able to understand I'm playing sports. I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to do a lot of things. I'm playing sports, but I'm also not focused when I'm playing. You know what I'm saying? Not focused playing sports. I'm not putting the work in. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather go hang out than put that extra time in the gym, put that extra time, you know what I mean, training and getting myself together. But it helped me understand that basically if you want to do something in life or you want to live a certain way, you gotta follow the action suits behind it. You gotta actually put what you're trying to do. You want to be a gangster, then you're gonna go be a gangster. You gonna put that behind you. But if you want to do this, you need to go do this. You gotta put that behind you. So throwing the whole time that I was in bed rest, and I was in my 11th grade year. I was in the middle of track season, literally. I think we was on spring break. That's probably only reason I was partying like every single night.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Probably every single night we was going out. And got shot in my leg, and it sat me down for a long time. I was out of school and everything, and basically I was able to put life in perspective, and that kind of changed my focus and shaped me in like, okay, I know what I need to do. It really made me the man I am today. You know what I'm saying? Getting shot 16 years old, 16, 17, whatever I was, like, it made me the man I am today, and kind of like shaped me up and changed my life.
Yeah, and was that a norm with like your environment, like with a lot of your friends getting shot, things like that? Yeah,
so and just like to be clear, like Virginia Beach is, it's I don't know, a lot of people don't understand, don't know, but Virginia Beach is oceanfront, so it's a tourist area.
Yeah, right.
Literally, it is. It's not.
That's all we know for in DC is like go to Virginia Beach.
Exactly. Like if you in that area close to the DMV area or North Carolina or something, you know what Virginia Beach got, like a little, it's a tourist area. But if you on the outside of the world, which I noticed, like in Miami, Florida, like all they know is they hear Virginia, they like Virginia, like, you know what I mean? Like they think of mountains, cows and all that shit. And it's like, nah, like Virginia Beach is like, it's got its own,
like everywhere else,
everywhere else. But aside from that, it's got a little inner city to it too. You know what I mean? Different areas, and I think that's just like any city, any town, anything. It's got its little area. So, basically, we got this area. It's called the 7 Cities. And we try to like detach ourselves from that DMV that everybody say like we're not Richmond or Petersburg or whatever. We try to detach ourselves because like it's literally 7 cities. It should be one city.
Yeah.
If it was one city, it'll probably be like looked at or saw that as, you know what I mean, an actual big or larger city or population. But Virginia Beach is known in that 7 cities as nicer. You know what I mean? They got nicer, newer developments. They got our sports teams are like our facilities are like built for sports teams to be successful. You know what I mean? Like it's structured to be you know what I mean, like a prominent area. But you got a lot of us that was either born in Norfolk or born in Portsmouth or something that end up moving out towards Virginia Beach, and then you got you keep your same habits, tendencies, or whatever. So I say, a lot of us and a lot of my guys to this day that we grew up around, like we was into it a lot, in the areas. So we was into it with a lot of stuff. So so we definitely like almost shaped our own environment, and we created what we created and learned the lessons that we learned from. But we was always on point. We was always strong enough mentally, still to this day together, like some of my best friends, like still connected with, and we all doing bigger things, you know what I mean, with our lives. We all like focus on a lot of different things because we was able to have that balance between streets and actually the bigger picture in the world, you know what I'm saying, impacting.
Right. Yeah, and I was doing some research just like on Virginia Beach, just looking from like, I think it was November, it was like 8 people shot in one weekend. July was like 5 people shot in complex, but it was teenagers though. So similar to how you just said, at 16, when I was reading, it was like a 16-year-old shot. So that stuff's still going on today. What advice would you give to some of those kids that's right at Virginia Beach right now as we speak, and they're trying to figure out and navigate through life and figure out, how can I be successful? How can I avoid the streets? Like, what advice would you give to some of those young men and young women?
That's big, because like I wish I would have been able to like look at something or read something or see something that would have probably like shaped me. Honestly, the biggest advice that I can do is find your purpose. Find your purpose in life first. Like I said, if you want to be a gangster, you're gonna be a gangster.
Right. You gotta
two
accept
ways
what
out
come
of
with
it.
it.
You know what I'm saying? It's 2 ways out of it. So you're gonna be a gangster, go ahead, be a gangster, because that's your purpose. That's your purpose, to be a gangster for whatever reason. But if you want to make an impact in any industry, in any opportunity in life that you can, you wanna be a king, you wanna be a provider for your family, then you find your purpose and then you attack it and you put everything you have behind that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't play both sides. You can't
Right.
play three sides. You can't be all over the place. You can relate to everything because you've seen it. Or
Yeah.
you at 16, 17, you've done everything. You've
Yeah.
seen enough
Yeah.
in those areas or those environments. You've seen enough to be able to understand, like, okay, this was that, but now, you know what I'm saying, I want to do this. And the earlier that you can do it, basically the better to be able to shape you. Because a lot of them, you know what I'm saying, a lot of my good friends, you know what I mean, they made mistakes early enough to where they can't really change their situation now.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
You get locked up at 15
Right.
for a murder.
Yeah, right. You make
And
that
you
one
in
mistake.
there, you know what I'm saying? From juvenile to the adult, you getting tried as an adult.
Mhm.
So you can't change your situation.
Right.
But if you got time to change your situation and you at that age, you able to recognize, just take perspective and just take reflection
Yeah.
to understand, like, okay, what am I really here for? What's my purpose?
Right,
What's my
exactly.
purpose in life?
Yeah, and I think that's key because that's something that I think we all deal with. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you may think something is your purpose, it might just end up being your passion, and you steady trying to figure that out. And you know, when I think about a Virginia Beach and thinking about, you know, finding your purpose, and you know, we all teens growing up, we growing, we learning, and your background, I think, is different from most teens in that inner city life where they don't have any family structure, or they may not have the dad or the mom or the people pushing them. So outside of your household, like what else was your inspiration, like that helps you find that purpose? Like, you know, sometimes it could be a famous person that's from your town. It could be, I want to be like this athlete, or, you know, I know you said you played sports. Like, was it like kind of the thing, like I want to go to NFL?
Yeah. So it was like, I'd say it was idols in sports.
Yeah.
It was aspirations in sports. It was
Like when I think VA, I think Vic and
Vic,
AI.
yeah,
All
AI.
rip,
And the
you know what I
crazy
mean?
thing was, like, my like number one idol in life, like to this day, Sean Taylor, right? So like, and you ask all my friends
Yes,
in
that
VA,
was
right? They all
beast,
Virginia Tech
beast.
fans. They all
Yeah.
like Michael Vick fans. You know what I'm saying? I was focused on this individual. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like Miami Hurricanes has always been my favorite college football team.
Mhm.
It's like that was my first favorite sports team. Period.
Ever,
I
yeah.
just saw the visors, the orange and like green visors and shit. I'm like, damn, like they different.
Yeah.
And they was wilding at that time, like 2000, 2001. And I just particularly looked at this individual, Sean Taylor, 6'4", like 220, safety, moving how he was moving. And I would just see how he played and see how he viciously attacked life. And I was
Yeah.
like, yo, this motherfucker's a beast.
Yeah.
Like, he's a beast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would go outside in the backyard, and I was like, shit, by myself. It's raining outside. He looking like his games, Florida State game, I think it was
Yeah.
like 2003, played in the rain, and he had like 3 picks, and the whole game was crazy. He took
Yeah.
over the game and won it himself. And I would play like that, or I would envision myself in the backyard like that, because I'm just like, man, like this motherfucker is a beast.
Yeah.
Like, he literally like deciding his day. He
Yeah.
deciding his life. He waking up like, I'm gonna do this because I want to do this, and how I'm gonna do it. And the way he played football was the way I wanted to live my life.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
I want to be a beast.
Right,
Like,
right.
I want to do what I want to do,
Right.
how I want to do it, when I want to do it. And that was like my number one idol in sports. And I think 2007 when he passed away,
Yeah.
I was crying. I was crying
Yeah.
in school. I was
Yeah.
in middle school.
Yeah.
Like, no, I think I might have
remember
been
that.
Yeah, I think I
It
might have been
was-
in high school, my freshman
Yeah,
year.
because
so-
I was in 10th grade, and the
Yeah.
whole school was sad.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was oh yeah, because DC.
Yeah, we was crushed.
Yeah, I
and,
already know.
and the night before, it's like, you know, we heard like, oh, he got shot in the
Yeah,
leg.
you
So we're like,
thinking
that'd be
he
all right.
good.
You know,
And
woke up
wake
the next
up, he
morning, looked
dead.
at Fox. I mean, it was a sad
It was
moment. bro.
crazy. And
Yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like my friends and stuff, they ain't really like it didn't hit them as much as it hit me. So like we talking about it, and I'm tearing up while we talking about it at lunch. I know they looking at me like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? But I was like, I felt like he was my brother.
Yeah.
I remember telling my older brother, like, yo, I think I'm gonna get this tat like on my
Yeah.
neck. It was like RIP.
Yeah.
He like, you tripping. Like, you tripping. Yeah, like, you gonna be a grown ass man with another grown ass man on you. You know, you never met. But it was like that deep.
That impact, though.
The impact he
Yeah.
had on my life was literally that deep. And it's just, you know, coincidence that obviously my life ended up, came to Miami, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, who knows, like that impact that he had like on my life, sometimes it just take one individual
To really,
to literally spark something in you,
Yeah.
spark something in your life. But for sure, definitely, I want to say came from that sports side of me.
right.
That, you know what I mean?
And that's interesting that you say that, because I noticed that a lot of people who play sports growing up,
Yeah,
in the business or academics, they're real competitive.
Yeah.
It's like that same competitive nature on the field, they carry it into the classroom, they carry it into
Exactly.
corporate or their careers or
Yeah.
whatnot. And I noticed that, like what you was like, you want to really go out there and be the best.
yeah, for
And
sure.
and it's like, being here in a city like Miami, everybody has similar services to what you offer.
Right.
Everyone's, the yachts, creating experiences, things like that. So with Move Around, what's the competitive advantage that you think Move Around has over all of the tons of companies throughout Miami?
I'll tell you one thing that I think is just not even just a competitive advantage with other leisure service
Yeah.
companies or other concierge companies. Just in the world with any company, I think we have an organic mission to literally we know what we want to do. We want to impact people. We want to be the global leadership, engaging others in life's opportunities. So by having this mission and by knowing what we want to do, I think we separate ourselves from anyone that is just either riding a trend, doing something because it's financially beneficial to their situation,
Right,
or
right.
they're located in an area where it's going to be financially beneficial. We got a mission that we want to do that's bigger than individually putting somebody on a yacht charter
Yeah.
and creating a party for them. That's not necessarily, that's a part of what's going to take place. However, what our mission is, we want to be able to impact you to literally for you to understand that, man, like these people made me look at this experience
Yeah.
way differently than I would have ever thought about
Yeah.
it. And we want you to share that.
Yeah.
So that we want that testimony to go on to one person, two people, three people, to the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that the network that we're creating around us, the resources, the partners that we build, are all in sync with the same message and the same plan that we have. Because I know
Right.
a lot of times it's easy to take an opportunity when you see dollar signs around it, or you see
Yeah.
attraction around it, basically selling your soul.
Right. But you making sure the morals align.
I'm making sure the
code
morals
is
align.
there.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you got 900,000 followers on your Instagram.
Right.
And if you just happen to bump into me needing a yacht charter from me or such and such, we may help assist with the business, or we may help assist with creating that vibe. But if your morals don't align with our morals, quite frankly, I don't necessarily want to do. I don't necessarily need that business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bring value to my network or my industry or my
Right.
company. You know what I mean? My team. So I think it's just about us. We know who we are. We have a identity and we got a mission behind it. So I think that's one thing that helps us unsaturate ourselves within that
Right.
mix.
Yeah.
You know what
Kind
I'm
of
saying?
stand out. Yeah.
Because I know there's
It's
a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Yeah, and I know, just thinking about the company, I know one thing you said in one of your interviews is that, you always wanted access.
Yeah.
And beyond
Yeah.
that, though, you talked about how, something a mentor of mine always say, you should never sit down with someone if you don't have anything to offer. And I know
Right.
you also said in an interview, you talked about offering value. So talk about, gaining access, but also making sure you bring value. Because sometimes people think you only can bring, so for example, I've sat down with many people, and I remember when I
Yeah.
first started a network, it's like, man, this person might be a millionaire. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, what can I offer to them? But I'm at the time young, maybe 21, 22, but I'm thinking that I'm offering a new perspective. This
Right.
person might be 45 and they may be kind of stuck in their ways and they
Right.
don't know what's going on. So talk about adding value to people, companies, and things like that. Because, when people see you winning, they see you doing good, you might get the DM or you might get the text, yo, bro, we got linked. Yo,
Right.
bro, we got collab.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
how we gonna help? How we gonna help each other?
Like-
Not just me helping you because I'm
Yeah.
popping right now.
Yeah. So it's like you want to like it's crazy that you mentioned that, because that's my favorite video that we've done so far. The Move Around Mondays. I think that's probably
Yeah,
where you got it.
yep.
So that one was the art of connecting. basically the art of connecting. My perspective in that is, like, number one, my mind is open at all times, right? So, I did mention, I mentioned that that my ultimate goal is to have access to anything and everything that I can put my sights to and put my visions to. And with that, obviously, you have to understand what your resources are. And I understand that my biggest resource is other humans, people. That's my biggest natural resource that I could ever attain to. But I also understand personalities, and I also understand perspective. So I understand that I can come off across as needy, or I can come off across as I have an agenda, and I have to understand that, you know, before you come to somebody's table, before you come to somebody's plate, or before you come to somebody's table, let's say,
sit down and eat with them,
bring something to the table. You know what I'm saying? Bring something to provide themselves, even if they don't need it, even if they already got, you know what I mean? You bringing turkey to Thanksgiving, but they already got turkey. You brought something, you know what I mean? And that's appreciative in anybody's life. Everybody can understand that. So I think it's always beneficial to basically know what you want to do, but also know what can get you in that door. And number one thing is bringing value to that person. What can you do to help them help you? Because at the end of the day, who's gonna say no to you bringing business to someone, you know, to them, you know what I'm saying? Who's gonna say no to business? Obviously, if the morals on the line, but if you come in, you're legit, you're credible, and you present yourself how you present yourself, efficiently and effectively, who's gonna say no to that? And that's how I look at it. I always look at it like, I got opportunity right now. There's space and opportunity. And like it's a ex-football player for the Kings named Jaquan Johnson. And his biggest thing I always used to share to my guys, where he would say, it's opportunity out here. It's opportunity. He's like, it's opportunity out there. What, you missed it? Did you miss it? And it's like, that's legit. It's like, when you wake up and you step outside, like, it's so much space, so much opportunity.
And then it's like, you know, you mentioned that, it made me think about, like, one of my core groups, like all my friends from college. We got a thing we call A&O. And like a lot of people always probably wondering what it means, and we never say what it means, but it means access and opportunity.
That's it.
And it's like, with the power of the internet today, it's like we have such an advantage, right? And I hear you talk about presentation, talk about impressions, but I think something that a lot of people lack is that, you know, you can meet someone, but how do you sustain that relationship? And I think, I'm big on that, where it's like, to this day, bro, I can text my high school principal. I could call my high school principal, my teachers from high school, like, we, you know, and we still keep in contact. And I pride myself on keeping those relationships, because it's like, you're gonna meet people along the way, like from Virginia Beach, Miami, you make new connections here, but those other people too, you wanna keep those relationships, because you never know how you're gonna end up linking in the end. It's like, for example, we met, 2019, something, that was not too long ago.
2019.
I'm moving around, grinding, going to Mexico. Then I ended up down here. But it's like, from when we first met, I remember you saying, you was like, man, I seen you on the yacht. And I was like, I could see him in the city. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
your vibe literally matched, you know what I'm saying, the same ambiance as what was going. And that just shows the show. That's why you were there. You know what I mean? You knew you wanted to be there. And you made your access to be there. And when I had saw you, actually, I know what we had followed each other on Instagram and stuff like that, but I saw you, I want to say, either post your next move that you were moving to Mexico or something, and from that, like, just seeing and understanding that, I was like, man, like, this dude, I knew it when I seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gonna move around. Like, he's gonna make himself accessible to whatever he wants to do. And from that, like, I understood that and I loved it. And that's where I think the genuine connection came. So we had the same perspective, we had the same mindset on life and the access and opportunity, like you just said. Nah, that's huge.
And that's, you know, when I think about, I always tell people, you know, energy never lies. Hustlers gonna always feed off each other, energy and relate. And I know for me, it's like, I know you mentioned about Virginia Beach, you know, your family, all those things, but it's always the one thing that keeps that hunger in you. So
Yeah.
like for myself, like my closest friend Ryan, he got killed when I was 15.
Yeah.
That's always been my why, my go.
Right.
You know, like when I got to college, when you find your pain, you find your purpose. You know, in the days when I might be mad, I might want to complain, you know, I think about like, man, my bro dreams was taken away from him at 15.
Yeah.
He ain't get to turn 18 to go to prom, college, none of that. So besides, you know, escaping Virginia Beach, making your parents proud, dealing with getting shot, what's that thing that's, you know, keep you hungry? Like what's that one thing that keep you hungry? Like beyond just the access to something, what's the thing that keep you hungry?
I think it's inside of me. It's a constant elevation that I want to continue to progress in life.
Yeah.
And I want to continue to see more. I want to see more. I want to see more. I want more. I want more. I want more. It's elevation that I keep inside of me that I feel like year by year, you know what I mean? No matter if it's financially, no matter if it's situation, however, I understand that I don't want to stay the same.
Right.
I never want to stay the same.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't grow financially one year from the next, mentally, I know that I surpassed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like laps around where I was at
Yeah.
before, or physically, you know what I'm saying? It's a constant elevation that I want to maintain with myself before anything. And then with that comes all of those other things, not wanting to, I don't ever want to move back to Virginia. I don't ever want to move back to Virginia Beach. I've elevated from that time of my life.
Right.
I want to continue to strive to see more. You know what I'm saying? Okay, move to Miami. I love the warm weather. You know, I want to continue to see more in life.
Yeah.
Whether that's the Caribbean, whether that's, you know, another
Whatever.
country, another continent. Like it's a constant elevation that I want to continue to grow to.
You ever get people telling you doing too much at once? Like, you know, like I know with me, like older people, they kind of like you should just focus on one thing at a time. But with our generation and today, it's like you kind of gotta be into so many things.
Exactly.
But you ever like get that advice or feel like, dang, I'm doing this too much, I'm doing that too much?
I don't really get too much of that advice.
Okay.
Like you said, older people they always do want to make sure that you, you know, you not like overwhelming, not necessarily yourself, but overwhelming the situation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They just looking for the best interest, especially older people that's close to you. But I tell you one thing that I've done, like in my life, period, and I think I've always been like this. I diet my life. I don't necessarily, not necessarily just my food.
Yeah.
Like I diet my life, meaning the intake, whatever I intake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if I don't want to see something, or if I don't want that coming into my life, or that energy into my life, like I extract it. You know what I mean? I don't take it in, because whatever you take in, you know, you get immune to it. You know what I'm saying? It comes in and it sticks in you. It flows through you. Whatever you don't take in, or whatever is foreign to you, is gonna extract. It's gonna bounce off. You know what I mean? You see it, it's gonna bounce off you. And I've had to grow in steps to be able to intake. To change my intake, obviously in a bunch of different areas of life, relationships, work, obviously careers, personality. You know what I mean? Myself, like my own self-reflection and responsibilities. So, but one thing that I know that I've done is I've dieted my whole life to where my network around me, or what I'm able to keep close to me, is tight, and it's not necessarily, you know, they understand who I am, and they understand my focus. So, and what I'm doing is not gonna put them in that perspective or that light. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but I definitely understand, because I've seen, I've heard it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's times all my life growing up as a youngin', you know what I mean? Like my grandma, put your pants up, like you know what I mean? Like all day long. But it wasn't until I got to a certain point where I understand why she was saying that every day.
Yeah.
She don't gotta say that no more. You know what I'm saying? Because I get to a certain point in life where it's like, boom, okay, she like, yeah, he gets it. He gets it now. You know what I mean? So anything that I do, my grandma will probably look at me like, oh, you got a plan behind that. Oh, I understand why you're doing this, or what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you know, I try to keep my intake at a certain level,
Right.
to where I'm not even having to have certain conversations. Like,
Yeah, no, for sure.
yeah,
And I heard you mention, not wanting to go back to Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Not going back to Virginia. I mean, I think anybody that moved to South Florida, they not gonna want to go back home at all.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing down here about Miami? Like, what is it?
man,
Like, I know me in
I
South
say-
Florida, I love the weather.
weather's big.
Yeah.
Like I'm cold right now.
Yeah.
Jordan's gonna laugh at me, but I'm cold right now. Like,
But back
chilly,
home it's like 20 degrees.
Back home it's 20. It's like 60 right now, but it's
Yeah.
chilly. You know what I mean? To me right now. But I say culture, man. I would have never imagined rubbing shoulders with people from all over the world as I
Yeah.
am on a daily basis. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, it's one thing to visit Miami and then you go home. Like, man, like when I visited Miami, I was like 14 or something. That was the one time I visited before I came here.
Right.
We went on a cruise and we stopped here for a day. And I remember telling my mom, like, when we got back, we went on the cruise, then we got back and went back to Virginia. And I think we was all in the house or something. And she was like, how'd y'all like Miami? And I was just like, man, like, like, there's a communication barrier. We trying to go to the store, we trying to get something. They want, like,
Right.
they couldn't understand English. So I was like, I don't think I'll move there.
Yeah.
That was my mindset at 14, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And now, like, understanding and appreciating how many, the different cultures and the different ethnicities, the different everything around, and basically different opportunity to connect yourself
Yeah.
with those cultures and those
It teaches you the importance of adaptability. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like, because I think sometimes we think America's America, and it was like, like you mentioned earlier about when I was in Mexico.
Yeah.
I was in Mexico, don't know how to speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Then I came to Miami, I'm like, oh, I need to know how to learn to speak
Yeah, you
Spanish
need
here
to,
too.
you need to,
So
'cause
so it's like, it made me think about, like, when we think about just being prepared and being adaptable, like my mom always said, you got to be a chameleon. You gotta be a chameleon. It's like, it's so key. So
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
big.
I think about being down here in this culture. For me, it made me want to hustle more, because you're not
Yeah.
just seeing maybe people that just look like you, or you're not just maybe seeing, growing up, it's usually black or white. Down here, you're seeing Latin, Haitians, and you're getting a taste of everything, but
Yeah.
everybody trying to get to it.
Exactly.
So
I love it.
yeah, so the culture here, I want to say, thinking about a business, thinking about technology, and specifically your business, how do you keep up with the culture? Because now it's like, back in the, I don't say back in the day, but maybe even 10 years ago, things might have stayed the same for a year or two. But today, whatever's hot right now, come March and April, it might be a whole
Yeah,
new wave. So
whole
how do you
new
make
wave.
sure that your business stays up to date with the culture to make sure you're serving the people the right way?
I think you listen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You listen to, like, one thing that I do whenever if I ever get an inquiry, or if somebody ever reaches out, or through DM or the website or anything, one thing I always try to do is have a conversation. I try to personally have a conversation, because I want to know what is going on in that person's mind. What are they thinking? What do they want? Rather than what am I offering? Because what they want is what I'm able to adjust and see, okay, this is a trend.
Right.
1, 2, 3 people, they just asked for the same thing. I wasn't doing this before.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, boom, let's put this in place. Run it. So I think it's listening, having that attention to detail, not necessarily not necessarily you know what you want to offer,
Yeah.
you know what your idea is, but if you really want to make an impact, then you're really gonna listen to what someone needs,
Right.
what people, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So
And
I think it's listening.
I experienced that with you as a customer, where it
Yeah.
was like, I was getting a yacht, and at first I'm thinking the daytime vibe, but I'm telling you, like, man, bro, I'm trying to chill, I'm trying to relax, I'm just trying to lay back, and it was
Yeah.
like, you need the nighttime vibe, and I'm like, oh, what is the nighttime vibe? But when I did it, bro, it was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Now it's like, the next time I get in a yacht, I just want to do the nighttime vibe.
Right,
So it's
right,
like,
right.
you do a great job of that.
Yeah, try
Yeah.
to appreciate that. Try to listen to, like, okay, what you really want or what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
and then bring the best opportunity to that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. So, one thing about here, Dreams by Any Means Motivation Station, we talk about how faith plus hustle equals success. So, one thing for sure, listening to your story, me personally knowing you, I know that you have the hustle, but how's your faith system? When I say faith system, it doesn't even necessarily have to be religious, but
Right.
just your faith system of believing that things are going to work out for me. If I put my mind to something, it's going to work out for me. Hard work, dedication. Like, talk about your faith system.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in faith. having faith and basically speaking things into existence.
Yeah,
Understanding
words, powerful.
the universe is super powerful. So if you say something, you believe in something, you gotta understand you're gonna achieve that.
Yeah.
You gotta understand that it's coming back around. It's not, you know what I mean? That's gonna meet you face and head on. Karma, all of those things. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Being a good person, being kind, understanding you treat people how you want to be treated.
Right.
Hard work and dedication. You put in the work for something, then you not only should you expect the results, you should assume the result.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go into the gym, you waking up 5:30
Right.
every morning, you doing the same routine for 5 days straight, take 1 day break, and then or 6 days straight, take a day break, and then 6 days again.
Right.
You gotta understand you're gonna look a certain way. You're gonna change, you know what I mean, what you was not trying to look like into what you're gonna look like. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Simple things, you know what I mean? Man, just understanding that whatever you putting into motion or whatever you're putting into the universe is gonna come back at you. It's gonna come to you. But my faith, like religiously, great connection with God.
Yeah.
It hasn't always been like that in life.
Yeah.
I grew up in churches
Okay.
through my younger ages, probably until about like middle school, high school, where I was playing sports and I was, coming home like,
Right.
I'm tired. And, but reconnecting that, you know what I mean, learning life lessons as I
Yeah.
have. 2020 was the biggest life lesson I've ever had in my
Yeah.
life. You know what I mean? It was something that basically I was able to take myself from outside of my body and look at myself from
Yeah.
the outside looking in and understand, you know what I mean, habits that I formed, taking accountability that my whole situation, current circumstances is based off of the decision that I made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think you like that. I was from you. Basically, I feel like, going through that whole 2020 or just that year,
Yeah.
that was the biggest development in my life. It took me from point B to A. You know what I'm saying? In a year.
Yeah.
And then obviously, passing on my sister and just things like that, understanding
Yeah.
what life really is and my purposes in life and how I can maximize on my relationships, family, God, partners, you know what I mean, friends. Yeah, bro, it was crazy.
It's a lesson in all losses.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you kind of went into the next question. I was going to just talk about losses where you're not a hustler if you never took a loss.
You're not a hustler,
Like,
you never took a loss.
you're going to deal with it.
You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't necessarily, not like you don't want to, not necessarily calling it gambling, but like if you never put something out there, investment, you know what I mean? You never put work towards something and came up short. You never understood how it works. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you said, you're not a hustler. You never took a loss. And,
Yeah.
and that's number one. Take pride in that, for sure.
Yeah. So, as we come to a close, man, and we talk about moving around, your story, purpose, all of the good stuff that you covered, what do you want to lead the people with? Out of this whole interview, somebody's watching, they may be thinking about starting a business, they may be going through a loss right now, they may be thinking about moving to Miami,
Yeah.
LA, New York, wherever, what advice would you give to that person? Because I think something that you mentioned in the beginning is that it sounds like you've always been fearless.
Yeah.
And fear is really the main
Yeah.
thing that keeps people
Yeah.
from taking a risk. And
Yeah.
I know I've dealt with it in my life, and my friends may see that I've made so many moves and took so many jumps.
Right.
But part of me also was just like not being afraid. But the fear also motivated me.
Right.
It's like, if I'm feeling a little, should I do this? Should I do this? Why not?
Right.
But it's like, I think you'll regret more if you don't take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So, speaking to the people, kind of giving them some law about
Yeah.
like how to move around and how to
Yeah.
really be successful.
Yeah, so like I think number one, like you mentioned with being fearless and taking those jumps, those are all key aspects of life. But number one, finding your purpose, man. Like understanding why you're taking that jump, why you are deciding to do this in life that's literally what sets you free and what makes you understand that it is your world and you control everything that is within your sights. I said that in an interview.
Yeah.
Not an interview. I said that in one of our Move Around Monday videos. But I say that because it's true. You know what I mean? Like you control everything that happens.
Yeah.
You control everything that happens by your habits, um by your progress, by what you put into to things, what you diet your life to be, what you intake. Um, I say just finding your purpose is the number one thing, and then everything else falls in place, and you understand, you know what I mean, what you want to do, what you want to be.
Yeah.
I think like in this world right now, especially the new generation that we have, like it's so many talented individuals, and it's like our newer generations are so, and it's probably been like this for years. The newer generation are so more innovative than
Right.
the generation before. And
Yeah.
it's because the resources continue to develop.
Right in front of you.
You know what I mean? Like the world continues to develop, and it's so important to understand who you are. Number one, like who you are.
Knowing yourself.
You know what I'm saying? Like being yourself, genuinely authentic. That's my biggest advice.
Yeah.
Like being yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna always be trends. There's always gonna be something that you're able to attach to. But if that's not you, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's not you. You know what I'm saying? You can, if you love clothes, then love clothes. You know what I mean? Spend your money on clothes.
Yeah.
If you don't have a passion for clothes, but you see, your friends on Instagram are posting pictures, you don't necessarily have to buy those clothes. You don't have to keep up with the trend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, do what is
Do
gonna
what you do.
do
Be
you.
you.
Be you.
Right.
All around. Be
And it's,
you, man.
yeah, and that's what I think is a gift and a curse of the internet. You know, I heard Cameron say something where it's like the internet has created where you can be whoever you want to be at this point. You can present to the world that you are this person, but you may not even be that person. So it's kind of like that gift and a curse where some people end up trying to be who they're not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So authenticity, finding your purpose, being you, and taking those jumps, being fearless, like you mentioned.
Yeah. And I can't end the show without asking this question. Being a black man in America, myself as well. We think about George Floyd, we think about Freddie Gray, we think about Breonna Taylor, and being in the state of Florida, thinking about Trayvon Martin. These cases of just pretty much has been exemplified that our lives don't matter to certain people. What's your thoughts on that? Like, what's your thoughts on Black Lives Matter? What's your thoughts on, being a black man in America? Because I think sometimes people really, I'm not going to say people really, I think last year with George Floyd was really the first time where people really paid attention, and that was due to COVID.
Yeah.
But it's like, you had people asking, hey, this is a safe space, or hey, how do you feel? And it's like, we've been feeling this way, because George Floyd wasn't the first, second, third case. And then after George Floyd, there were more people, that got killed, whether it's by police brutality, racism, whatever it is. So just kind of speak to those cases, what's your thoughts on that?
I think, and having to deal with a lot of circumstances in my life and seeing it firsthand, Black Lives Matter. Black lives truly matter. And to the world that understands, we know all lives matter. Everyone knows that all lives matter. But in certain times, there's a time and place for everything.
And all lives matter killed me like,
you know what I'm saying?
Clearly y'all lives matter, but
exactly.
ours don't. That's why we saying it.
Time and situation where it needs to understand that Black lives matter in the world, literally, but in our particular country and at this time, that has to be enforced. So, I'm a supporter of it. I think that obviously this political change is good for the nation, in my opinion. Obviously, in my beliefs, that we got a political backing that's for the people,
right?
Not necessarily for whatever financial interest you have or benefit. It's not about that. You know what I'm saying? It's a bigger realm. I'm for the people in my industry and what I do. So it's only right for me to understand, the bigger picture. With Breonna Taylor, with George Floyd, Trayvon Martin, goes way back. You know what I'm saying? And it's I could have been that. I could have been one of those cases. And I seen myself in those cases. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I think too, even since moving to Florida, I'm sure you probably got it from your family and friends. They're like, man, be extra safe down there.
All the time.
Be careful down there. Or like even for example, it's times I'm out driving, you know, Broward County get behind me, I'm riding super clean, but you just got that thought of like, man, like, are my tents too dark? Am I turning the wrong way? You know, and thank God I haven't been stopped or had any bad interactions with the police since being here, but it's always running through your mind.
Always.
And that's what I think people don't understand when we say Black Lives Matter, is because y'all don't go through that.
Exactly.
Y'all, when the police get behind y'all probably just old jolly and keep it moving. We thinking, what am I doing? Is my seatbelt or is my mute? I'll give you an example, bro, and it's sad that it have to be like this. It's times when I'm driving around Broward, I might be blasting my music. If I'm pulling up to the police or something, I'll turn my music down a little bit because I don't want to draw any extra attention to myself. Exactly. And I know that I'm riding clean. I know that my record's clean. But I know when they pull over and they come to that window, you're going to already think something about me.
Yep.
And this is not to say that all police officers is bad, but this is just based on facts and the interactions that black people have had with police. I've had interactions from high school, college, so forth and so on, where it's like, I don't even want to put y'all in the mix. I'll give you an example. Shout out to my boy Greg. Me and Greg was at finger licking. Somebody hit my car while I was parked. So they come in telling me, oh, your car got hit, white Lexus outside. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go out. And I was at the point, this is when I really started to transition to the like, not letting stuff stress me, whatever. I'm like, it's cool, I come back in. So the security guy, the finger licking, he like, yeah, man, you gotta call the police, I'm like, I ain't calling the police. I'm like, I just hit Geico up on the app and we're gonna go from there. But it's like, I don't even wanna interact with them. And you know what I'm saying? That's just something where I think it's taking a long, long time, but it's just something to just speak to like what black men deal with. Even if it's a black officer, it's just the history of the police force. And I mean, being in a state like Florida where, you know, the statistics and the cases you look at like, man, I don't want to deal with no police at all. So, yeah, man, I'm glad to hear your thoughts on that because I think it's important, you know, with a lot of these companies and you being a business owner, it's always, you know, what's your thoughts on what's going on in society? It's not just about the money no more. What's your thoughts on what's going on in society?
Exactly. So. Like, who are you as a human? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's internally, what's inside of you? And I check that. You could be the biggest billionaire in the world, you know what I'm saying? And I step in your office and I have an opportunity to do business with you or pretty much inflate my brand based off of my attachment or connection to you. But if your views aren't, you know, in my sight humanly incorrect, you know what I mean? In my mind, I don't want any business. You know what I mean? I don't need the business because at the end of the day, my purpose in life is much more bigger than the green dollar bill. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and if you're a hustler, you're gonna always get to that money. You're gonna always get to it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even like a thought. It's bigger than that.
It's more about how you get into the money.
How do you get to
like you mentioned earlier, a lot of people sell their soul. A lot of people don't be themselves. Man. It's like they so itching to get it. And them the people that lose it that quick.
All the time. All the time. Like I can't, you know, that's a whole that's a whole nother conversation, man.
For sure, man.
But nah, for sure. It's all about that, like what's in your mind and what's inside of you.
Yeah. But man, I appreciate it, bro. This was something, you know, we always had these talks.
Hey, dreams by any means. The crazy thing is I actually did this same format with KB.
Really?
With he was starting We Ain't Local No More. And we actually shared a lot of things that I was able to share now, but he never came out with it.
Okay.
And obviously these are years later, so I didn't have a business attached at that point. Like, you know, it's an elevation from that point. And I'm so happy that I was a part of what started because I seen or I heard the audio last week. And you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all about elevation, and you taking the steps right now in your life to elevate yourself in a whole nother dynamic than what you were just a year ago. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I like. That's what I attach myself to, and I love to see it. So keep going, keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? And I'll be more than happy to ever come back. You know what I'm saying?
No question, bro.
Anytime.
You already know.
For sure.
So thank y'all for tuning in to Dreams by Any Means Motivation Station. This was the second episode where we talk about faith plus hustle equals success. And you know when you're in Miami, you got to come move around with Mitch.
It's your world.
Hey, I'ma do it big. Extra large. Mirror on the wall. Who the realest of them all? Hey, had to stay down till it was my turn to ball.